Hey Gearfacts friends, well it's certainly not business as usual today because here we have Roland's vintage EP-30 portable electronic piano. There's conflicting information about the EP-30 available on the net, but I think the general consensus is that it was released in 1974 and it is the first electronic instrument of its kind. Its appearance is very cool. I greatly wish that keyboards were still made in this way. Let's power it up. We won't hear anything because it does require an external speaker or headphones in order to get that audio out. But anyway, we've got a pitch control here that's nice and quick to tune into the rest of the band. Volume, and pulling this out, or pushing it in, we'll toggle the touch sensitivity on or off. So if it's out, we've got even velocity for all keys. Push it in if you want to be a bit more expressive. Tone is exactly what you think it is, kind of increases the treble and bass. So the tone knob doesn't seem to affect the bass function, only the main sound. Actually, I think I was wrong. There was a subtle effect there. Definitely more noticeable on the trebly sounds, though. Panning over, I love this part. Buttons that are rock solid. So they click beautifully, although I'm kind of mashing them there clumsily a little bit in my excitement. The yellow buttons on the end give a second function to each of the sounds. Pressing the bass button gives us a different sound suitable for bass from this B downwards, and its volume is determined by this one right here. So in other words, the vibe button is exactly that, adds a little bit of vibrato. And like all good wholesome vibratos, your rate and depth can be chosen right here. Naturally, I was very pleased to find an EP-30 in such good condition, but it was made all the better by the inclusion of the original Roland sustain pedal. It has a little house right up here inside this beautiful midnight blue felt lined case, which also includes a custom stand that fits on like so. On the back it's so simple. This is it. There's the pedal socket for that sustain pedal I showed you a moment ago, high and low output and stereo headphones out. I've got a bad feeling that my playing style is way too chunky and uneducated to really do this thing justice, but let's give it a go. It's interesting to hear how this bass control does more than overdrive as you turn it up. It kind of fuzzes out. It's really cool. And I was told that you can get a kind of a weird effect going if you try to press multiples of these buttons as you play. Let's give that a go. Looks like we have a couple of dead keys, which is a shame. Another interesting point that I almost forgot to mention is that this keyboard is completely polyphonic. You can literally play every single note on the keyboard. So despite the fact that this is an electronic piano, a point often made by users of this instrument, we're not limited by polyphony as is so often seen in modern electronic pianos. And let's have a look at the way this thing packs up so neatly. There's a little chamber there, and that's where power goes. And this is a great convenience for portability too, because instead of carrying a power supply, which often fits quite awkwardly into a case, you've got a fixed cable here that you don't even really need to strap up using this one. It can just go straight into its chamber. And it's held in, no worries at all. Why don't keyboards do that today? And check this out, even the badges are cool on these things. Serial number is 493,244. So not quite one of the first ones that Roland put out. Well, we've all heard the old expression that a bad workman blames his tools, and that's exactly what this workman's going to do right now. But seriously, I did find this key action pretty nasty to play. Obviously we had a few that weren't working and that was highly distracting, but they're very shallow keys. Some people might like this clicky sort of feel, but they're also very mechanically noisy, and that's something that I always found quite irritating. The touch responsiveness too. Could be an age thing, but it's really not responding right. But of course what most of us came for was the sound, and it really is a very interesting sound. So of its time, so gritty and dramatic. And just harking back again to what I said at the beginning, I absolutely love the aesthetics and I love the feel of these nice tactile controls. that just punch in and out, leaving you with no doubt that there's going to be some awesome music happening. Roland's classic EP-30. Very interesting instrument. I'd be very interested also to hear your comments, because I'm sure some of you will have more experience with the vintage instruments than I do. So leave those comments, please like or subscribe while you're at it, and I'll see you next time on Gearfacts.